Hey guys, it's Maria, and today I'm going to be covering the SAT Writing and Language test, also known as the grammar section of the SAT. Alright, so this section has a total of 44 questions in the span of 35 minutes, with 4 total passages with about 11 questions each. So, again, like the reading section, just under a minute and a half per question. This is the second section of the test after you complete the reading portion. And again, like the reading test, don't panic. I'll be able to offer you some tips that'll hopefully make you go through this passage with more confidence. Okay, just as a warning before I start going over tips, I am an English native speaker, so sorry in advance if my tips ignore any international students watching this or any students where English isn't your first language. I apologize. These are just like the tips that I know with like the language that I know. Okay, so just a quick recap of each like section of the grammar test. So there's going to be 1 or 2 argument passages that try to prove some sort of claim. So like you can see here, this is an argument passage where they talk about like the environmental effects of Greek yogurt. There's also going to be narrative nonfiction, telling some sort of story. And then there's going to be like an informative or explanatory passage that's trying to teach you about like a certain subject. And in all these passages, you have to use, you have to like make choices about like what particular like words, so like diction or like grammar rules that would like most make sense for the context. Okay, so my first tip is to focus on efficiency. So I'm going to go over to the questions here. And focusing on the second question in particular, for example, we can see that all of these like choices that you can choose are like really lengthy, but I think that the SAT wants you in this section to focus on like the most like efficient way to like convey ideas, and there are going to be multiple answers that like basically kind of convey the same idea, but you want to choose the one that has like generally like the least amount of words, the most direct answer. So for example, for number 2, like D would be the most like the least like wordy answer and would be the most direct and try to convey that point. Okay, so my second tip is to focus on context. So similar to the reading passages, if you're stuck on a question, try to reread the context around the line. So for example, going to the first question, we can see with the sentence, like, given these solutions as well as the many health benefits of the food, the advantages of Greek yogurt outdo the potential drawbacks of its production. So, like, for here, for example, when you basically have to choose, like, a synonym of that word that fits with the sentence a little bit better, you have to read the sentence to be able to understand the context of the word. Like, the College Board might give you, like, a certain phrase that would sound kind of funny if you chose a different word. So just be aware of like the context of the words or phrases that you're trying to place something in. Okay, and my last tip is to read carefully. For number 1, just to answer it. So, like I mentioned with context, the advantages of Greek yogurt outdo the potential effects of its production. For me, the correct answer would be outweigh. Because like again, going back to the context line, outdo sounds a little strange in this context, but with the advantages of Greek yogurt outweigh the potential drawbacks of its production, it sounds a lot more natural. Okay, and then the third tip, read carefully. So as a native speaker, the writing and language test section might sound like a little easy at first glance. You're basically just trying to like pick words and phrases that sound right, but be careful on this approach because there are subtle differences. For example, like in number 3, would like make sure you watch your apostrophes. So even though the grammar section may not be like a particular section that you focus on as a native speaker, definitely like read carefully because like all these little differences, like again with number 3 and the apostrophes, definitely be aware of like the like little differences because those add up to like mistakes that can cost you points over time. Okay, thank you so much for watching, guys, and hope you watch another video.